This is Philosophy versus Improv, where two sages try to teach each other a thing or two, and maybe you, the audience, get something out of it as well.
My name is Bill Arnett, Improv Coca-Cola, yet simply RC when it comes to philosophy.
This is Mark Linsenmeyer, a Royal Crown Cola. It's the long version. It's not a knockoff. It's royal. And I like improv. We have a special guest today. I just asked him earlier today, listeners to two of my other podcasts, three of them? No, two of my other podcasts will know this man.
You don't like me that much.
Introduce yourself.
20 on 3.
Why don't you record 10 albums? You can be on the fourth podcast.
It's not going to happen. My name is Lawrence Ware, coming to you from Oklahoma City, and I have no clever puns on sodas. I'll just say that I like Coke Zero. There we go.
All right. Okay.
It's misleading though, Coke Zero, because
it is. It's very misleading.
It's not no caffeine, right?
No, it's no calories, I believe, is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they already have that. That's what Diet Coke is.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know why it tastes different than Diet Coke. It tastes better to me. That's the reason why I like it. I don't have anything deeper than that. I like it better. I like it better than Coke Original and Diet Coke. That's why I like it.
Wow. I think they use a different sweetener.
I think so. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was not. Okay, I want the listeners to know that I was not at all prepared for whatever we're going to talk about. We could be talking about space aliens. We could talk about Schopenhauer. I have no idea what they're going to talk to me about. Mark asked me, because Mark is a good friend of mine. He asked me to jump on. I said, sure, Mark, I got time. I'm here. I have no idea what the hell we're talking about, but let's talk about it. Let's go.
All right. So Lawrence, as philosophy professor, as head, not interim head, not co-chair, chair of the Africana Studies.
I'm associate director of the Center for Africana Studies. Okay. So I'm not the head, but I'm the number 2 guy.
You're the heart.
I'm the heart. Yes, I am the heart. if you were to ask somebody who's the heart of this operation, they say, that Lawrence Ware, that damn guy, man, I love him. That's what they The director's an asshole, but I love that Lawrence Ware guy. That's not true. The director's a great person.
Yeah. Well, if you ever get promoted to director, then people can.
That's never happening. I do not want to be the director. It's too much work. It is so. The other podcast I do with Mark is all about pop culture, and I do a lot of pop culture stuff. But the academic side, to be the director or the head of something, that is not something I want. I want none of that. Nothing to do with that. That is not fun. Don't want it.
Well, we've had many a conversation, mostly on the Partially Examined Life, about the philosophy of race, and which you have taught, and maybe that was my intention in reaching out to you, sort of like reflect, review, like why is this even a philosophical issue? What is the? We haven't addressed that on this podcast before, but right in the 7 minutes before getting on this call, it occurred to me that we are all parents, and maybe we should do something.
Okay.
Since we're mere months away from Father's Day, something about fatherhood, about parenthood.
Right. Okay. I'm interested. I mean, can I give my pitch for why philosophy of race is important, and then we can go off on our thing about fatherhood? Yes. All right. So here's my real quick pitch.
Maybe they're the same topic. We'll find out.
Sure. Well, I can make it. I can make it tie, man. I can make it work if you let me cook. I can cook up a stew. What I will say is that philosophy of race, when I first started teaching it, I got all the questions in the world. Why do we need to study this? And then post Black Lives Matter, and especially post George Floyd, I got no more questions because people realized. Can I cuss? Is this? I cuss in my other podcast. Can I cuss? Y'all cuss in here?
Please.
They realized that shit was fucking important. Like they begin to realize that just because it's been 60 years since the civil rights movement does not mean that we've solved our race problems. And so That is my shorthand to say that's the reason why this stuff's important. Now, I can get into the way that philosophy for a very long time was mainly populated by white men. And since it was populated by white men, they brought along their racial proclivities, shall we say, into their discipline. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say real life has done the work of explaining why it is necessary. And it is necessary. Here we go. You ready for this? It's necessary to tell our children, bam, look at that. Boom goes the dynamite. It's important to tell our children about race and for them to be educated about race and racism in the world. Also, LGBTQ plus issues. It's just important for them to be ready to deal with the differences that come in the world. And I think philosophy of race can help them do that. Man, I tied that knot. I pulled it together, guys.
That was very well done.
Even though Mark does not look at all convinced by anything that I have said. He does not look interested, doesn't look convinced, but I think I did a good job.
So Bill, what have you taught? You have younger children than I do. What have you taught them? What is the most recent piece of advice that is relevant to what Lauren just said that you have passed on?
Well, as you were speaking, I have another possible connection. If I can make this quick aside, Mark, if it's okay.
Go for it.
If we were to all imagine 100 years in the future, 2124, and let's say that race relations, however you want to define that, however you want to encapsulate that, have improved. Is perfection even possible? Who knows? Or what would that even look like? But they have all improved. Wouldn't our assumption of what an improvement is, wouldn't our judgment of, well, that's better, that would be better, doesn't that become a philosophy question? Wouldn't that make the, okay, I'm thinking about 100, this is what it looks like. It looks like this, my impression of the future. And my opinion of what better means, my opinion of what improved means, is a reflection, a philosophical reflection, especially once we divorce any like pay gap or gender gap. Once those gaps are gone, the tangible gaps are gone, wouldn't that future be one that reflects philosophically?
Yeah, well, what we're actually going for.
Well, it's difficult.
Sure.
It's difficult.
Sure.
The science fiction of a day always reflects, what the hopes of that day are.
There we go.
And
Thank
so
you, Mark.
Science fiction of a certain sort.
I mean, Mark. I mean, there's a lot of dystopian science fiction, though, man. So, like, it doesn't always do the hopes.
Fears and hopes, but right.
Fears and hopes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as far as like sort of racial utopia science fiction, which I don't know that I've read that much of, but certainly like we have Star Trek, we have other examples that at least treat of it, where on one interpretation, it I think if you got stuff coming out of the 80s, it has been completely ignored. It's completely eliminated. So there are no racial differences that matter. There are no cultural differences even that matter. And anyway, the entire planet has become one monoculture, and that was taken as an ideal. And I don't think that's the ideal today. I don't think people see that. We need to erase.
It is not.
We need to erase your identity. We need
assimilation is not the ideal anymore.
Thorough cultural assimilation.
Yeah.
And so that's why we need to teach our children to respect difference and to welcome difference, but not to like expect everyone to be white or expect everyone to be black or expect everyone to be Asian, but like allow people to have their cultures, Native Americans, whatever, have their cultures, but we respect them and we welcome them. That's important.
Yeah. My kids currently go to I don't know if I should say their school, named after a predominant African American leader, and
Booker T. Washington. I'm going to guess Booker T. Washington, MLK, Frederick Douglass. Which one is it? It's one of those three.
It may or may not be one of those. It may or may not be one of those. Okay. They're my children. I don't care. But
yeah, I know. I understand.
So, but they are. It is very much talked about bluntly, but far more bluntly in a way than it was ever talked about. Certainly when I was a kid. Which, I mean, people talk about, I was the first child of my family to go to college. I was the first child of my family to go to an integrated school.
Oh my, wow.
My parents went to a segregated school. Some of my teachers originally taught in segregated schools before Orlando, Florida was desegregated. And it's like,
wow.
You never think, people don't think about
it. So you're one generation removed, therefore, from segregation then.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Wow. And it's like it's not far away. And it's easy to think. You see a black and white movie. Well, clearly that was a go. That's not in living people's memory. It's far from it. It is quite in memory, and that meant that many of my fellow students who were African American, they were most likely the first of their. Now, again, they would have been towards the end of that cohort of students who were the first to go to an integrated school, but they were in that cohort. This would have been in the 80s, so a decade or so after lots of foot dragging, the school board finally got it together. Yeah, so that it's every time you think it's in the past, it's all over our present.
And I think the difference is, before the 50s or whatever, between black and white were more stark, because since everything was either black or white or gray, they lived in the black and white world that we see in the movies of that time. It was really stark. There were no other colors. It's pretty amazing that, when colors were invented.
That's interesting, Mark. That's quite interesting.
This is what we do on the show. I'm just warming you up, Lawrence, for the stupid things I say on the show.
It's interesting. That's interesting. It's funny. It's funny. I want to be clear. What you said was funny. It was also interesting.
Well, it's kind of, I don't know if it's ironic or coincidental, and I bet if we want to make a connection, as Mark knows, often we don't intend the improv lesson and the philosophy lesson to coalesce, but often they do. And just as you brought that together, Lawrence, with teaching your kids things, my improv lesson is actually a philosophy question.
Oh.
Ooh. Is it one that has to be asked as a question, or can it be asked in the context of a scene as a question?
He seems stoked.
I guess it might. If it has to, then then I guess that's that.
Because maybe we would feel more comfortable answering the question if we were not answering as Mark and Lawrence, philosophy professionals, but as a couple of snakes. I don't know what we should.
I'm not sure. We might need to kick it around a little.
Wait a second, Mark. Are you a philosophy professional?
I mean, I receive money from doing philosophy.
I know that you have the biggest, one of the biggest, probably biggest podcast about philosophy. But I thought that you were a guy who gave up philosophy. I don't know if you changed the way that the Partially Examined Life introduces you. Because maybe you're a philosopher again.
A philosophy semi-professional. Let's say that.
There we go.
I'll allow it.
A recovering philosopher.
We should plug the book that I will receive probably at least a penny if you purchase it now.
Mm-hmm.
The Partially Examined Life book, which includes
me.
Yes, Lawrence in it. Is Bill
I was
in the
shocked.
Book?
I was shocked. Damn. Holy crap! That was cold-blooded. Bill, you're in my book. You're in my book, Bill. You're in mine.
Good.
Maybe next book.
Thank you.
Maybe there will be a book based on this podcast, because probably the thing that would improve this presentation is to just take all of the inflection out of it and just the cold words on the page.
Keep it mathematical. Keep it very
in all caps. I think the Philosophy for Improv book will be in all caps.
Well, you know what, Mark? I think I think I'm going to introduce the topic and let you all ruminate a little bit, and then I think you all might do a better job of squeezing it in, because I'm not positive it's a light. Are you sure? And now I'm going to say this, Mark.
Okay.
Whether you are or aren't, so I teach in a class, I teach a lot of improv classes at some major theaters here in Chicago, and there is a student point of view that I encounter often to varying degrees. Some people are turned up to 11, some people it's a 2 or a 3. And it is this whole notion of like, well, what are the rules? How do we do it? How do we do? And then, oh, I did it. Well, how did I do? How was my scene compared to the rules, or based on what, tool we're using to measure, And some people can get very fixated on that. And I'm sure you as teachers, and you probably find people who are just like, well, what's the answer? What is the singular answer? X equals what? And I found myself telling the students, just so you know, everybody, before there was improv analysis, before there was improv rules, there was improv. People did it first. And later we decided to look at it and say, are there any patterns in here? Are there any trends? Are there, this worked better than that? But at first there was improv. And the idea that we have possibly done every conceivable scene and in a closed set, and can therefore make rules that are always correct based on that closed set, is probably not accurate or not correct. So before there was philosophy podcasting, Mark, before there were books, before there were professorships, there was philosophy. Is that a thing in philosophy?
This is very much
that
something that I was thinking about with Lawrence,
Yes.
with Lawrence in mind, because on Pretty Much Pop, several times it's come up like, oh, well, that's philosophy, but it's in this TV show or this album or whatever we've been discussing, but it's subpar undergrad philosophy. It's and there's at one point there's at once an openness to everybody has philosophical sentiments they want to express.
Absolutely,
and you could express that through a song, through any sort of art form.
Yes.
And if you say the only philosophy has to be, journal articles submitted in a certain place, then you're guaranteeing that it is a very narrow demographic and it's a very elitist and it's very horrible. So, you don't want to interpret philosophy like that. But at the same time, what's the at the same time, Lawrence? What's the...
I genuinely, at the same time, you want to open the door for people to be able to express their philosophical ideas in pop culture mediums. So songs, books, films, but there is a difference. There is surely a difference between what's a good philosophical Blade Runner, really, really good philosophical film, and what's a bad philosophical film? White Chicks. I would argue White Chicks has a philosophical idea going on, but nevertheless, that is bad philosophy, right? And I would fight to the death that White Chicks has philosophy going on. In fact, George Yancey wrote a philosophical article about White Chicks, so it has philosophy going on. But one of those is really, really good and complex, and one of those is not. So It is possible. It is possible to do complex philosophy, and I'll see it. And I'm like, that's good. Like, so Arrival. Denis Villeneuve's film, good philosophy, complex philosophy, right? But then there's also like not very good. And I can see it and I can tell the difference.
Sure. Are you saying that my idea is sitting on the back porch of our college apartment getting drunk and stoned? Is that what you're saying, my level of... That
was probably, yeah, well, no, I'm not going to say that's your level. But if that's the heights that your level reached, then that's pretty low.
No. Well, here's where it comes up. Here's what comes up. Someone does a scene that I don't think is very good. Why? Why was that scene not very good? And it's like, well, through what lens? Through what context? And maybe you can come up with a context in which it succeeded. I did everything you told me to do. And it's like, look,
right.
We can't presume to understand. There's it's taking like someone takes a screenplay class or a writing class. Why isn't that enough to make them a master screenplay writer?
Right. Good at it. Right.
Yes. A hummingbird, according to aerodynamics, a hummingbird shouldn't be able to fly. Well, then our aerodynamics are wrong. Clearly, because they fly. It's more the person who would say, because it was not researched exhaustively, because it was not in a journal, because it didn't have citation upon citation, then it must be wrong or broken.
And I think and that's not good. And that's
especially in the arts, particularly in the arts. Yeah. We're getting more rigorous. We're getting into philosophy, getting into math. I can begin to appreciate that. But simply in the arts, I feel like, we can't have to put everything into a box.
I completely agree. Completely agree.
All right, thank you.
I feel like there are vectors for philosophy that sort of there are different purposes that it could serve, so that some of the most effective philosophy, like I think Blade Runner, which is making us think about like what is a person really, is letting you meditate on it and using the literary form to get at a particular aspect. It's phenomenology. It's like what it is like from the point of view of this character, one of the androids that he's talking to, who is having this existential crisis of what am I, that kind of thing. And actually, I forget how that progresses. Does he find out that he's an android, or was that just like a deleted scene?
Man, it's kind of complicated, that answer. Okay. I mean, yes, but it's complicated. Like, it's really complicated. Because it's complicated between what the movie does and we're talking about
right. This is what
and the book's very different. The book's very different.
Yeah. The book's different. No, Rutger Hauer's not in the book. Really, Scott, believe it or not, didn't write the book. It was a Philip K. Dick book. But it's very complicated. Very complicated.
I mean,
do you boys know why I called you into my office? Do you know why I called you in here?
No.
To test whether we're actual human? Is that
you are actually humans, and so is everyone else in class.
Oh my God, really?
You're just going to assume that.
Yes, everyone in class is a human, and some of your comments during the middle of class hurt some feelings.
I did not have access to their interiority, and so I had no idea that me calling someone a fucking asshole hurt their feelings.
Interiority? Is that a word? Is that?
Yeah, it's a real word. It's in a dictionary.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. I believe you, but I am going to write that down. I am going to write that down.
Write it down.
For a ninth grader, it's not a word I expect a ninth grader to just rattle off.
My feelings were not hurt.
Wait, I'm a ninth grader? I am an old ass ninth grader. I got gray hair and shit.
Look, when Larry called me a fucking asshole, I was not offended. And I hope, Larry, when I called you a piece of shit. Oh, you're just offended by Larry? Is that what's going on?
I'm offended by Larry. You can call me all the pieces of shit you want. You call me Larry. That was a fighting words. This dude called me Larry.
Okay.
What is going on?
I mean, I have a lot of sentimentality as a ninth grader for the sitcom Hello Larry, if you remember that one. So
never heard of it.
I feel
never heard of it.
It's in syndication. It's streaming somewhere.
Wasn't there a Larry Sanders show? Sanders show?
I don't know how you ninth graders are referencing these old programs that from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. I know the Larry Sanders show, the old Larry or whatever the hell.
With Gary Shandling.
It's McLean Stevenson
what's going on.
In his post-MASH role. It's a tribute, really.
So that's an old show, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Kids, we're wasting our time. We're wasting our time here. I need you all to get back to class, but I just want to let you know that we can't throw hurtful language around. All right.
Okay, sorry.
Some of your classmates were crying, and I guess their interiority, which I will be Googling.
Because they have tears? Interior? Is that what? Were you just making a joke there?
Interiority?
Tears?
Their interiority is in tears. Their tears is... Their interiority is making them have tears.
I think it's a coincidence. I think it's perhaps we're full of all the tears we will ever need in life. And as we cry, those tears come out. And when our last tear is shed, we die. Have you thought about that? Have you kids thought about that? Have you kids thought about that?
Never.
I had not thought about that.
So when you make your classmates cry, you are shortening their life. You are shortening their lives.
But I like to make kids cry. So maybe that means I like to make kids die. Oh, shit. That was a bar.
I want to see how this works out. I mean, this is this is big news. Like, we got to test this. We got to drive some kids right to the freaking edge.
No,
absolutely. And then tell them don't cry anymore, otherwise it's over.
Well, we can't just tell them to stifle their feelings just for the sake of having a longer life. I was trying to be philosophical to reach you. I was trying to reach you. It clearly did not work.
I think Lester first. Lester's such an easy cry. Lester would like.
Why is it
get him?
You get to make Margaret cry, Stanley cry. You called Jeremiah fatty fat, and he's struggling. And you know that you're aware of his journey. Okay. Amen. Why do you get to call him those things, but we can't call you things? You were very offended, Lawrence, when you were referred to by the L word. That offended you.
Well, but they were born with sucky names like Jeremiah. Would you say Margaret? Those kids are asking to be picked on.
What, Lawrence is not a name. They didn't pick their name. They didn't pick their names.
Yeah, they should go by. Margaret should go by Peggy if she wants to be cool. I think that's what the kids are doing today.
I agree.
All the Margarets of today are going by Peggy, and if she's going to stand out and insist on being called Margaret, she's asking for trouble.
Well, I'm going to write that down.
I can't believe they're still making Margarets. Honestly, I didn't know that. Like in the same way, like Leroy's and all those old names, I can't believe they're still making Margarets.
Well, they are
still making them. I thought they were discontinued.
Well, if I tell Margaret to go by Peggy and she does, will you stop calling her names?
No,
because pegging is a really funny thing.
Oh, gross. You think I was born? Yes. You think I wasn't in ninth grade? You think I don't know what that is?
Oh my gosh. Mark, you took this to a whole different place.
As a ninth grader, I'm curious about the body. And
how do you know
heard
about
a lot
that?
About
what are you watching? What are you watching?
I mean, I'm watching the internet. Aren't you watching the internet?
I don't watch porn on the internet. Clearly you do.
What kind of ninth grader are you? Of course you watch porn on the internet. You're a fucking liar.
I use my phone to read the Bible, sir. That's what I use my phone for.
Well, it's
me
not
and Jesus.
It's not soaking in. It's not soaking in. Do unto others. ... So I think I still want to know.
But what if I like pegging, and so therefore I peg others?
Well, I don't think that works. That doesn't work, does it?
Mr. McMillan, do you like pegging?
Oh my gosh!
No, the principle. On principle, I'm going to say no.
Principles tend to be the freakiest ones.
Well, this one isn't. This is a very straight-laced principle.
Okay.
Well, I just want to know.
Sure you are, sir.
I just want to know. Give me a thesis statement. Why do you get to call people names, but they can't call you names?
Because I'm cooler.
On what scale? On what makes you cooler? What makes Peggy not cool? I think it's very cool that she plays the French horn and rides an old lady bicycle.
You have to acknowledge.
I think that's very cool.
Mr. McMillan, you have to acknowledge that Lawrence is cooler because he's black.
I was not going to go there.
Isn't that what?
Wow.
It's the elephant in the room. It is the elephant in the room.
Wow. My
Jay-Z, cool. Miles Davis, cool.
Miles Davis. All the kids are talking about Miles Davis these days.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe how
he's
often
having a real renaissance.
He really is. His dead ass.
I don't think that name has been uttered in these halls for a decade, except
probably 3 decades.
Probably an angry music teacher trying to get kids to appreciate something.
I think it's early 70s stuff. Down in the corner. I think the kids today think that is the best.
I think I've proved my point.
Do you want to fight me about that, Lawrence? Do you want to fight that?
I'm going to say the kids today probably do not know who Miles Davis is. But I do, as a ninth grader.
And that's why we make fun of them. Mr. McMillan, yes. That's why we make fun of them.
Because they don't know cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think I could call all these bluffs and you'd still do it. I don't
Margaret changed her name to Peggy, and both names are freaking whack. Like, why not be like Zendaya?
Okay, I'll tell you. Well, you write down some names for Peggy. I'll put Kind of Blue on the PA, and then we'll be done. And we'll be done. How about that?
Sounds great.
And there'll be no more name calling. And what should we do if there is more? What would be? You pick your own punishment. Should there be more name calling after forcing a child to change your name and drowning the school in smooth jazz? What should be your punishment?
I think calling Miles Davis smooth jazz is that.
Well, not smooth. It's not. It's slower.
That's definitely not. It's not smooth. It's not Kenny G.
It does go down.
Lowercase s. Lowercase s. Come on now.
Okay. All right.
This is after his bebop days.
I guess people get too uptight
cool
about
jazz.
I was getting too uptight about language there.
Okay. Well, I think that's fair. I think that's something we can talk about.
No, I think that's appropriate to get uptight about language and talk about Miles Davis. If you were to walk, I would pay money for one of you guys to walk up to Miles Davis, particularly you, Bill. Walk up to Miles Davis and say, "Yo, man,
Principal
I like the
Bill.
music, Bill. I like the music you make, and I'm going to call it smooth jazz." He knocked the shit out of you with a French horn.
Probably
because he doesn't play that shit. Because he doesn't play that shit.
Deceased, probably. I meant smooth with lowercase s, as opposed to more aggressive forms of.
What about Birth of the Cool? Birth of the Cool ain't smooth.
There we go.
Just because you're labeling the modalism thing that he was doing as smooth doesn't mean he doesn't make. You know what? I object to this, and I don't like that you're making me feel uncomfortable about Miles Davis.
Oh my!
You're making me not like him.
I'll tell you what. You all can both escape punishment for your crimes of calling people's names.
By pegging you? Is that what I do?
Oh my!
No. No. If you are willing to write a 3 to 5 page paper about any topic you want. And it can't be the same word over and over again for 3 to 5 pages.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bill likes to get pegged for 3 pages.
What I think pegging probably is. How about that?
Yes. We need a 5-paragraph essay, a thesis statement, 3 supportive paragraphs, and a conclusion.
Oh my God.
I think it has something to do with pirates. I think it has something to do with like peg legs.
I'm going to say this. Don't do your research in a school library. Don't do your research in the school library. I'm going to say that right now.
Okay.
or a work computer. Don't use your dad's work computer.
Yes. And careful asking your parents.
Hey, Mom, what's pegging?
All right. I think that's a good end to that.
A good end.
That particular
We did
scene.
it. We did it.
That went to places I was not expecting it to go.
Well, I think y'all stepped on something that I think is certainly rife with youth, and that's this whole notion of like recalcitrance, just this like refusal to even give an inch. And I am justified in everything that I do at all times without ever providing philosophical underpinning to the justification. Certainly something we certainly see as parents constantly.
Absolutely. Jeez.
Well, one of the basic things, just in terms of like scene versus life, is like, what are our names going to be as these imaginary characters? And often we just use our regular names because it's just too hard to remember anything else.
Well, and we got him on the screen. We got a video chat going, and there's his name on the screen. I look down. It's like Lawrence Ware is staring me in the face.
Well, I guess it's
pretty easy.
I could change that. I control the names.
We could
here.
Give everybody character names. That is true.
If we want to say,
you can change my name to He-Man. I would like that. That'd be cool.
Okay.
If we want to change Lawrence's to Hello Larry, then we could. But that was
Mark. Have you been wanting to talk about Larry? Have you been wanting to call me Larry for a very long time?
No.
And I keep saying no. And now this is your chance with Bill. With Bill, you're like unleashing it. Like you're just unleashing the Larry thing.
Knowing that you can't
Principal
let him have
McMillan?
it with a stranger in the room.
No.
And it was pretty gutsy for the ninth grader to insist on calling the principal by his first name.
Yeah, it was.
Yes. Yes.
Well, what ninth grader is named Larry though? Like seriously, in 2024, what ninth grader do you know is going to be named Larry? Like they would lose their minds. They would never surprise.
That many Michaels or Johns or Catherines or Jennifers. It's just
not anymore.
A severe.
So I saw a direction for this whole discussion of kids' names in class to go, but I didn't know how to do it in any kind of tasteful or even coherent way, which is, can we give all these very white kid names like Peggy, can we make them LaShonda? Like you were sort of going this direction. You are
really
Lawrence.
Playing, you're like really on the edge of being offensive. You're really on the edge of being offensive.
I thought
that's a clearly black name. I have met one white LaShonda in my entire life.
That would be the point. Is there some sort of, does that amount to like cultural appropriation or something, just to name kids names?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so.
It's weird. No, I don't think so. No.
And also, weird, I was thinking like, while I'm on this incredibly stupid line.
No ranting.
That if you run into a white kid named Marvin, that seems like a pretty dorky name. Black kid named Marvin, that's a cool name.
Cool name.
What's with that?
Because blackness conveys coolness. I think that's scientifically proven.
Are there black Peggies?
No,
I think it's fascinating. It's a fascinating thing.
Of course, there are no black Peggies. Like, imagine a black woman walking in and like, "Hello, my name is Peggy." What would you do with that? Like, no, it doesn't work.
I don't know. I don't know the stretches of what I would like to think there are no limits to the names that
I've never met a black Rebecca. So there are no black Beckys.
Oh, we're gonna
I've
get
never
some,
we're
We're gonna get
I've
some
never met a
emails from black Beckys. I'm sure.
I've never met a black Karen. I've never met a black Karen.
Rebecca is aren't these all like biblical names? Rebecca is a biblical name. There's no way
Rebecca is biblical. There probably is somewhere, but
Bathsheba. Is there anybody named Bathsheba?
Nobody, because she was sexually. Was she sexually assaulted? I don't know. Like,
I don't remember the story of Bathsheba.
If the king comes in and is like, "Yo, I want to have sex with you," like you kind of gotta go. I don't. This is getting us into a weird place. I don't know if we want to go there.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder if that's some sexual assault story stuff. Like, was Bathsheba the original Me Too? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally don't know.
She couldn't be the original. She's just me. She's the original. She's just me.
Yeah, it's me.
There's no two. Me. There's no addition.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
We better get off this. We better get off this before they come for us, man. We better keep it moving.
So Parenthood.
Yes.
Maybe there's, I would hate to be in a society where as a parent that you have to tell your child, if the king comes for you, you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where's the king taking us?
I don't
for
know.
Ice cream?
His bedroom.
Why would we want to go there? Why would the king take us to his bedroom?
It's not about what you want to go. It's about what he wants.
Does he got like cool toys or books or things up there?
Probably.
Okay. Well, then maybe I do want to go. Maybe I do want to go to the king. He's probably got ice cream.
It depends on if you consider a peg a toy.
Like square peg, round hole kind of a thing. I've got that one with a little hammer, a mallet. It's kind of a baby toy, but
Yes, something like that.
Okay,
I don't know what to do with this.
It's not
as my parents, I'll just take your word for it.
We have not started a scene.
We haven't?
God, that's not the scene.
We're genuinely having a serious conversation right now. This is not a scene. This is a real conversation.
There are gradations.
Yes.
This podcast is not in black and white. We have all the colors of the rainbow.
Well, I mean, it kind of is black and white. You guys are white. I'm black. I mean, it's kind of black and white. Even I have white and black in my beard. So
we're all bearded,
black and white.
And we have a little gray in our beards as well.
Salt and pepper. Yeah.
So it all evens out in the end when we're all decaying corpses. That's what
I need to cut my beard off though. Actually,
so is that good philosophy? We're all decaying corpses in the end.
So Schopenhauer would say yes. Schopenhauer would say yes. Yeah, he would agree with that.
But did you use that as an excuse to act horribly and selfishly? Because it doesn't matter in the end?
I mean, no, I don't think that's his philosophy. No, I don't think
okay.
But, Nisha might. But Nisha's he died with syphilis. And it was syphilis, right? And he had messed up brain at the end of his life. So who knows what he was doing.
Yeah, syphilis will do that.
Man, we all get syphilis at the end, so we might as well.
I'm not. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not getting
I'm not a bug right now, though. And
gonorrhea, we can talk about, but syphilis.
Okay. I'm okay putting STDs in the. Hey, do I do a quick anecdote real fast? Quick anecdote,
please.
All right. So I've been doing some substitute teaching. Oh, pardon me. Some subbing in the school district here, and I was subbing for a science class, and they had to do a presentation on an STD. It was a 8th grade science class.
Wow, really?
Yes. Wow. And they had to do they had a teacher had prepared a slideshow, PowerPoint, 8 slides, and the first slide was like, pick one of 8 STDs. Next slide, which one did you pick and why? Next slide, how do you get it? Next slide. How's the treatment? It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. And I'm just warning the kids. All right, everybody, you have to pick one of these 8 STDs. Do not Google image search any of these STDs. And sure enough, there would be some kid who either forgot or wasn't paying attention and would shriek across oh my gosh, genital herpes, image, Yes. That kid learned something that day, and I think what they learned, shocked. I don't know.
I'm shocked that's happening with 8th graders. Like, Jesus Christ.
Straight talk. Straight on the Straight Talk Express.
Oh, my goodness. I learned about that till I was in college.
Well, talking about kids, Mark, and what we train our kids, I think so much of it is like, especially when they're younger, and even as they get older, this idea of them imagining a circumstance is they can't do that at all until 5th or 6th grade reliably. And even then, the idea of truly imagining a deep circumstance is really difficult. So I find myself, especially when they're younger, you got to teach them the lesson right when they experience it, right when something occurs, right when something happens, right when they say something. Hey, I noticed this. Hey, I saw that. Great. We're talking about, as opposed to like, all right, it's time to learn something. Sit down. Imagine this scenario. You're just not going to they just can't imagine it deeply enough. So that's been my telling kids things. It's like, try to tie it to an experience, an anchoring experience, especially when they're younger. So that kid who found the photos, Google images of of genital herpes, I got 2 lessons for the price of 1. A, careful with Google image searches. B, yeah, it is that bad. It isn't just your teacher, shaking their finger. That do you want that to be you? Didn't think so. So
I'm really glad you brought this up, Bill, because this is a perfect time to advertise my new set of books. Here's one. They're all picture books. So you've given yourself an electric shock. Here's one of them, so that you have the book ready, and then when your child experiences an electric shock, you very quickly, before you even try to get them to stop crying, you give them the book and you make them read about, so it really maximizes the lesson. There's so you've touched a hot stove, so you've stepped on a sharp object.
Perfect, Mark. Thank you so much for accepting my philosophy and turning it into book form. Thank you very much.
It sounds like a terrible
harumph.
Terrible book. No one's going to buy that.
But come on, now you've certainly learned teaching kids that it's hard to just like, hey, by the way, stop putting your shoes on for a second. Have we talked about VD? It's like.
Okay, so a kid who's putting on their shoe and you're talking to them is probably going to be no older than 8 years old. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to talk to an 8-year-old and be like, yo, let's talk about venereal diseases. Right?
No, I'm not. I was being facetious. I was saying is that when they come home and clearly they've had an experience that has shaped them. Hey, something happened in class today.
Unprotected
teacher yelled
sex.
At some kid.
That's very shaping.
That's very shaping. That is very shameful.
Yeah.
Which do you teach your kids about more? Like, which do you want your kid not to have more? Would you rather for them to not get an STD or not get someone pregnant or get pregnant? Which is preferable? If you had to choose one, which one do you want? Do you want STD or do you want pregnancy? Which one of those two?
Can I pick the STD?
You can. Why would you want your kid to have a disease, sir? Because pregnancy is beautiful. That brings life into the world.
Because that'll show them.
Yeah. Who's the other parent?
It's Peggy. Peggy's the other.
Okay.
Parent.
Okay.
Maybe it's Principal Bill. Maybe Principal Bill.
Yeah. The one black Peggy. The one black Peggy. Well, I think that's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. My son, if you find love, well, then that's great. Outstanding. Does she have any STDs?
Probably.
I feel like there are no scenes based on the things we're talking about now that I want to start. I don't want to have the one black Peggy scene.
I tried to start one about kings, harvesting young boys for gratification.
That's
you
terrible.
Nix that. You vetoed that pretty quick.
I have a feeling that this is my effect. Like I'm bringing the negative energy, and it's all going downhill because I'm here. I'm sorry, guys. We can talk about talk about rainbows.
What is a way? I'm interested, you, Lawrence, now that you've been fully exposed to what this format is. The idea, as I have explained in the abstract to some guests to trick them into coming on the show, is that it's in investigating a philosophy from the inside. So it's like Socrates will ask questions. He won't just tell you; he'll ask questions. So, is there something with that in mind? If you're going to lead a class, so here we're role playing now. You're being yourself, leading a class. We are your eager students, but you're going to try to use this new format of improv that you learned today. This could be practice right now. What you're going to do in class next week to explore from the inside something that you want to teach about philosophy and race or parenting or whatever. Is that challenge?
It is a challenge. I mean, it's not going to be race. Really, the question I'm going to ask, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to say, guys, let's imagine that the men are female and the female are men. What does sexual pleasure feel like, guys?
Whoa!
How does it feel? How does it feel to you? Philosophical? Is it rewarding? Does it feel good? Like,
but I'm a guy.
But let's explore pleasure from the inside, from the opposite, and that way you can learn how important it is to pleasure the opposite sex. So therefore, you need to embody that opposite sex and talk about pleasure from that side.
But Professor Ware, I don't identify as either gender. So what is the opposite of me? Is it still me?
You would be nothing.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Chris.
So what does nothing feel like? What does nothing want to experience?
Nothing wants to experience something.
There you go. We're getting somewhere.
Something.
That's good. Let's go. So what would it be? Something.
Is this going to be on the test? Is this on the test?
Of course, it's on the test.
Something like a tingling in my toes and my fingers.
I thought you were going to say a tingling in my dingle.
I got to work toward that.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Professor Ware seems a little unprofessional.
I'm sorry. But that shit's funny though. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So
I'm not a dude anymore? I got to pretend I'm not a dude?
Yeah,
am I still on the dude? Am I still on the football team?
I often pretend you're not a dude, Bill.
Yes.
Whatever, Chris. I'm still on the football team though?
No. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, you are. But you wear, what's that? It's like a G-string women's football league, lingerie football league.
Lingerie bowl? I'm in the lingerie bowl.
You're in that. Yes, you are.
That ain't cool. That is not cool.
Well,
I got to pretend.
No, let's explore why it's not cool to you to be a woman. Like, why does that have a problem for you? Do you have a problem with women? Is that what I'm discovering?
No.
I think I'm discovering that you have a problem with women, sir.
I just don't want to be one.
Why not? Let's explore that. Why don't you want to be one?
Because I like me.
You would like you if you're a woman.
Yes. If you were a woman, you would like you too.
Well, I wouldn't be on the football team. Why would I like me?
But you wouldn't like football.
No, that's not true, sir. Chris, that's not true. Women like football.
I don't like football.
But I like playing football.
Maybe that means you're a dude, Chris. Since you don't like football. But women do.
But I'm imagining myself as the opposite of myself, which was still neutral.
But what is the opposite of yourself?
So
what are you? What are you?
Would I like football then?
Who are you, Chris? Seriously. You're imagining yourself as the opposite of yourself. So that leads us to the question, who are you? See, I didn't think this was going to be philosophical, but we got there.
I'm a person, and I'm looking at Bill.
What is a person?
Thinking about Bill being a woman.
Don't do it,
I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like when I look at Bill being a woman, he has a beehive haircut and a feather boa.
Okay. So if I was a woman, I would be totally hot. All right. If I was a chick, I'd be totally hot, round where it counts, and super slamming. All right. And everybody would want to be my friend and be with me.
Bill, where does it count? You said round where it counts. Where does it count?
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. Up top, on the bottom, you know what I'm saying?
So
round where it counts.
You're talking about your hair, the beehive.
Well, the chestural region and the
is that a word?
Backside.
Chestural?
Hey, I'm in college. Okay, I play football. All right, you know what I mean. My words signifies something that I would expect you to understand, even if it's not a real word according to the dictionary.
Bill, did you just turn black? Like, what is up with the way you're talking now?
Well, I'm talking like the language I've learned in class, the philosophical discourse of signifiers and meaning and signifiers.
Thank you for repeating that word.
Okay, all right. So
signifiers.
I would be hot. I would be hot.
Yeah. The chestral is a signifier of hotness. Is that what you're saying?
It's a signifier of a lady's décolletage.
What's décolletage? Is that a real word?
And décolletage
that is a real word. That is a real word.
Is a fancy. I'm gonna write that down. That's a fancy word.
That sounds like a word that only the elite would use. It sounds like a Donald Trump word.
You're thinking that women are elite. You're imagining that you're a woman, and this makes you use the fancy words and be elite because you think that right now you're not elite. I think you have some issues.
My older sister.
I think you have a low self-image. I do think you have a low self-image. We need to work on that. Like
low self-image.
You are somebody.
Yeah.
Bill, not Bill. Belinda, you are somebody.
What?
I need you to feel confident in yourself.
It just sucks not being on the football team. I don't know.
We should play him the Henry Rollins song "Low Self-Esteem." Isn't that a song?
I don't know who Henry Rollins is.
Okay. That's fine.
My older sister does fashion design. All right, she's pretty good, and it's a word she uses as like a code word around the house. Décolletage, the way to like say something without people getting mad, you know.
I'm going to Google décolletage. I'm going to look that up. I don't know what décolletage.
It says it means pegging.
Gross. Gross.
Hey, it's just the internet.
Well,
telling me this.
You said it.
Gross.
I think that's what I would if I was the opposite of myself. That's what I would be into. Right now, I'm into nothing. So
is class over yet?
Nothing. Yeah,
class over yet?
I feel like we've really learned about a lot about ourselves and about what good teaching is. Thank you for using this innovative teaching method with us, Professor.
Yeah, anytime, but I teach college students, and so I just don't think that your level of engagement was high enough for me, and so therefore you guys all failed.
I can't fail. I can't talk to coach. I can't fail.
I failed many football students, sir. I failed many of them.
Belinda, he's not failing you. He's failing you as a woman. So
yeah, as a man, you would pass. Yeah, you.
Yeah.
So Belinda failed, but
yeah,
Bill,
going to be playing on Saturday. That's what you're telling me.
Well, it is spring.
Yeah,
There's no football right now.
Yeah,
but yes, Saturday's in the fall. Yes,
yes.
Although you won't be in this class in the fall, so I don't know what to tell you that.
Well, whatever class I've taken,
Yeah.
Yes.
Human sexuality with other 8th graders. That's what you're going to be taking.
Yeah. What? You might learn something. Yeah.
All right. So what did we learn from that scene? That was a brilliant piece of theater. That was a brilliant piece of education.
I don't know if that was brilliant. I don't know if that was brilliant at all. It felt kind of tragic, honestly, on my part. I feel like I let you guys down.
Oh, you were just fine, Lawrence. You're playing along admirably.
Yeah. Not letting either of us off the hook.
Yes, Bill. What? You've had some. Is the lesson just the question that now I've forgotten? Did that persist through?
Well, the lesson is this whole idea of like, especially in a moment like this. All right, what was good about that scene? What was bad about that scene? Well, what was good about it is you used the yes and philosophy. You didn't ask questions. You did. We can go through all the rules, quote unquote, of improv or the heuristics or best practices. But what we should be asking is, did we as players enjoy what we created? If Leonardo da Vinci hated every second of painting the Mona Lisa, it's not art to him. It's like, oh, that thing? Oh, come on. I didn't even finish that thing. If it's not art to him, is it, and like, I don't know. If we enjoyed ourselves, and it's possible to not enjoy yourselves and have them an audience enjoy what you did. That's very possible. But I think it's more just, and again, this is something we've been working on for a long time, Mark, this whole idea of like, your opinion counts. Your thoughts matter, especially in artistic things like this. Your feelings are right and true. And even if you don't know all the ins and outs, and I may have a more nuanced view or able to fix a particular point in such a way that you would agree made the scene better, leveraging some technique or something. But that doesn't mean that you aren't entitled to your thoughts and feelings of it.
So what are your thoughts and feelings, Lawrence? You've just gone through this. Do you feel like this amounted to a fun hour hanging out?
Honestly, yes. I interestingly enough, I took drama classes in high school. And for a moment there, before I started going the critical route, I really thought about being a director. And so I did a lot of this stuff in like community theater stuff. Like you just kind of bounce ideas off and you just kind of just go with it. And so I have not done this in probably 10, 15 years, but I really, really enjoyed it. Like it's really fun to just like start a scene or just start something, just see where it goes. And I think the fact that I'm talking to two very demented people, that we ended up going where we went. But like we were talking about, you guys were talking about pegging, and you guys took it to a weird place. But
where else
really
would you rather
to see where it goes.
I think if somebody's going to say Margaret to you, then the discussion is going to be about pegging. What?
Peggy. There's a difference. Those suffixes are different.
Not to the creative mind.
Wait, does Margaret go like? Does Peggy come from Margaret?
Yes.
That's one
of the weirdest, stupidest things.
Is that true?
It's what.
Because
it's like,
really,
I had an uncle Art, and he went by Skip. Why are those connected?
Yeah,
there's no good reason. These are the secrets of the previous generation.
I had no idea. Anyway, I really deeply enjoyed it. And I think it's fun to take a philosophical kind of approach to this, where you start off in one place and you have no idea where you're going to go, but you just go and you see where you end up. I enjoyed it.
And it is nice taking philosophy down off its pedestal.
Absolutely.
Rolling around in the mud with the rest of us commoners.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that point.
See if it could stand up to some real world punishment. Yes.
So
right, I think you like doing that, Mark. You like taking it down and kicking it around.
I do.
In a fun way.
Yeah. So that leaves us with the dilemma, the prisoner's dilemma. We have to answer it before we get off here. We're prisoners on this podcast till we answered the dilemma of which was it, philosophy or improv that won the day? Which one of the lessons that we brought in is going to shake the earth seismically in a measurable way more than the other? And Lawrence, it is on you as the guest to be the key and decisive vote as to whether philosophy or improv wins this particular bout.
Well, then you guys present your cases and then I'll vote at the end.
I think philosophy won because we talked about the most topics. There was mentioning. We mentioned several different topics. We mentioned the difference between philosophy and non-philosophy. We didn't do anything with that. We mentioned Parenthood. We really didn't do anything with that. We mentioned philosophy of race. We did a little with that, but mostly just kind of made fun of the whole idea. And then there were probably other things. What's your?
We
case,
also talked about music, and aesthetics.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty much every word that came out of our mouth was a treatise. We used the word signifier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
so that shows it was very highbrow, very high level philosophy.
Well,
I guess that is philosophy.
My rebuttal will take exactly 9 words. We talked about all those things, but we did improv.
I'm going to say Bill won. I'm going to say Bill won. Bill won. Boom goes the dynamite. Bill won. Bill won.
I'd like to think I helped improv with the quality of
you did, Mark.
Anyway, I just wanted to introduce Lawrence to Bill and Bill to Lawrence. That was kind of just what I wanted.
This was fun. This was fantastic.
And I enjoyed it, man.
Thank you to the patient listener who finds this a good use of your time.
Indeed.
I'm really glad that you're out there.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Peace out.
Nice meeting you, Lawrence.
Nice meeting you as well, man. All right, we done?
I've stopped the live stream. Do we want to do any after talking, or do we want to just be done? Or we could even do without you, Lawrence.
Yeah, because I have stuff I got to do.
All right, then.
So yeah.
I actually do as well, Mark. But if you have any business,
well,
then we'll be done. Let's be done.
I don't have any good. We'll talk. We'll do a one-on-one pretty soon.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
Bye.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
I should sell my soul. Bankrupt.